person to ask questions, and then we will adjourn. Mr. Fallon, you are recognized.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. And thank you to all the witnesses. This has been fascinating. And I'm new and freshman trying to learn and absorb and be a sponge. And a lot of very good questions have already been asked, and I don't want to rehash any of those. But so Secretary Austin, he testified here in March, and he said that the number one threat that we face is the U.S., that it's China. And then they announced that they're going to increase their defense budget approximately 7%, I believe. And so the question for the panel, anybody who wants to jump in, is what kind of justification do the Chinese have? Granted, they have a lot of international frontiers, but what significant threat do they face from any of their neighbors in that theater to justify a 7% increase? Or is it simply obviously because they're trying to pass us in the world stage? If I just wanted to, I guess, to go with Dr. Pettyjohn first.
I think that they are clearly trying to supplant the United States in the Indo-Pacific and to establish themselves as the dominant power in the region. They don't have to justify their defense expenditures to a domestic audience like we do, given the different government that they have.
I'm just going to add that this is the number one, well, will be the largest economy in the world. To sustain that economy, they have to reach out beyond their region and extend globally. Energy interest example is why China's interested in the Middle East. So it's almost a natural course that they would seek to have this type of military and make this kind of investment.
And I would just add that China has significant internal problems as well, and whenever you have significant internal problems, it's very helpful to focus outward.
Project externally, yeah. We've seen that in the past. One of the things that I find concerning just with the budget is from just a real dollar perspective, or not real dollar, rather just raw dollars, it's 1.7% increase. But inflation, as we've talked about repeatedly in Congress, if it's just 3% this year, which very well may be much higher than that, that would be just to match inflation would be $22 billion, and if it was a 5% increase, inflationary increase, it would be $37 billion just to have a flat budget. So, these seems to be real cuts. And one question I had for Mr. Zackheim is pivoting a little bit. Is your assessment the European deterrence initiative? We've been focusing a lot on the Pacific theater, and we have new allies in NATO. And I loved your comment about how certain allies have the will but not the capabilities, and others have the capabilities, not the will. And I thought in my head, not necessarily in any order, Poland, Germany, and you mentioned Poland. So if you wanted to just touch on that.
Yeah, I mean, the European Deterrence Initiative, which again I believe this committee, along with elements in European Command, really led on, was critical in deterring Russia, and was a responsible thing for the U.S. to do after Russia's invasions in Georgia and Ukraine. And I think it needs to be sustained, but in a fashion that's proportionate to what needs to happen relative to the Indo-Pacific. And I think it's what we've been talking about today is the same theme, different variation, distributing the force, presence, exercises, and making sure that these are resilient. If I can, I'll just add on your point on inflation. I think something that this committee, I'm sure is intuits, but may want to focus on, is that inflationary forces are more dramatic in the defense industrial base than they are in the macro U.S. economy. In other words, whatever's happening in terms of inflation, it's going to be more acute for the Department of Defense, and they'll get less bang for the buck.
Mr. Chairman, I yield back. Thank you.